Ladies and gentlemen, we have some insane Black Ops 7 leaks to go over. Yes, not even Black Ops 6. This is for Black Ops 7, which is not the confirmed title for it. It is whatever is going to be the next game, COD 2025. It's probably going to be a Black Ops game of some sort. We just don't know the exact title. Now, this leak is something I don't even really want to make a video about because I do feel like this would have been an interesting thing to have it as a surprise, but it's already spreading around Twitter like wildfire, so I might as well talk about it. It's already kind of ruined. So I just want to discuss this because there's definitely some good things and some bad things about it. I think the overall community is very negative on this right now, and I completely understand why. So let's talk about it. What is the leak? The leak is coming from Insider Gaming, which is Tom Henderson's news outlet, and they are very reliable. So this is not some random rumor coming from someone random. This is a very reliable leak. They say that the COD 2025 Zombies mode is set to have the original crew return for zombies, which of course is Dempsey, Tank, Takio, and Nikolai. That is absolutely insane and something I was personally never expecting. They did go on to clarify that it is not the Ultimates versions of them. In fact, it's more like Primis, but older versions of Primis. And they said the zombie storyline in this game will evolve around a new enemy character who wants to absorb the dark ether essence of the original 4 characters and bring back the old multiverse. They said that sources also corroborated the recent Zombies leak that originated from those playtests, where the main Zombies map is going to be transit inspired. It doesn't necessarily say a transit remake, but it says inspired by transit with some form of a travel system to navigate around the map. And it says there's going to be 6 total Zombies maps throughout the lifecycle of COD 2025. Now, I have very mixed thoughts on this for a couple of reasons. First of all, I do like to first see how story things play out before judging. I feel like gameplay-wise, I can definitely judge it beforehand because, we're aware of how certain gameplay systems already work. But when it comes to story elements, I don't really know. Like, this could work just fine. It could make sense. A lot of people are saying that this undermines the ending of Tag Toten, which it definitely could, but let's say they do it in a way where it doesn't. An example I can give is what Deadpool and Wolverine did, where Deadpool and Wolverine brought back the Logan character. Spoilers for those Marvel movies, by the way, if you haven't seen them. And they were able to not undermine the ending of Logan while still bringing back Wolverine. It was a different multiverse variant of Wolverine. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a different version of those characters or if it's going to be the exact ones from Primis. Let's say it is the exact ones that we saw before. I think it could work in a way that makes sense. I mean, they talk about this new enemy character that's going to somehow bring back their essence from the dark ether, and it's going to bring back the old multiverse. That is possible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I mean, let's think of the zombie storyline and what it always has been. Zombie storyline has always been something they kind of make up on the spot. That's pretty much just how it works. Let's not pretend it's any different. And I love the zombie storyline for its wackiness, its craziness, its weirdness, but it's always been like that. It's not a consistent long-term vision storyline. It really never has been. They've been deciding some new things as they go along. So the idea of some new enemy bringing back their essence is not that far-fetched. I mean, who's this new enemy going to be? Could it be Dr. Monty? I have no idea. But here's my thing. Why? Like, why do we need this? And obviously, I think we all know what the answer to that is. They think they're going to bring in a bunch of old players to return, or it's just going to excite the current fans a lot more. And yeah, it could for a lot of people, but like, it's not necessary. Like, I don't think this is what Zombies absolutely needs more than anything. And what worries me more than anything is that pulling something big like this tells me that that's going to be the main point of marketing for COD 2025. That's going to be the face of the COD 2025 Zombies marketing, which tells me that maybe there's really not going to be many other gameplay changes. Because I personally think if they were to just completely redo some of the systems and make them more classic, which is what a lot of people have been wanting for a while, that could be a good way to market the game. But if they're going to instead bring back the old crew, that might be like the main point of marketing, and the gameplay systems might be quite exactly like what BO6 is. Now, I don't hate the BO6 Zombies gameplay. I've mentioned that before. I do enjoy the systems there. But would I like them to go back to the classic point system, no rarity system, no loadouts? Yeah, I would definitely prefer that. So I think that could be an interesting point of marketing if they did something like that. But using the old crew, I feel like is probably where the main marketing is going to be centered around, and they're not going to feel the need to change anything else in the game, or at least nothing significant. And what also confuses me is the fact that they just got everyone so hyped up for the Terminus end cutscene. And let me just make sure to put a spoiler warning here if you haven't seen the end of the Terminus cutscene. They, of course, bring in some chaos elements. We have the Sentinel Artifact, we have Prima Materia. Those are going to be significant parts of the Black Ops 6 zombie storyline. I personally was happy with that because I knew chaos was never going to get a satisfying end anyways. It ended so abruptly, there wasn't really an actual ending there. So I thought to myself, okay, if they're never going to do it again in the future, why not just mush it into the Dark Ether storyline? I think they can definitely make that work, and I was actually really excited for that. I still am very excited for that, especially because it's going to be taking zombies in a more supernatural and fantastical direction beyond just the Dark Ether stuff, and I think that's going to be really exciting. There's a high chance the next zombies map is actually not going to have like any Dark Ether elements. There's not going to be any Dark Ether rifts and none of that stuff, and instead it could be something that is caused by the Sentinel Artifact creating the zombies, just like it did in the Chaos story. And I think that'd be really cool to change up the pace and change up the types of maps you're gonna get. And when it comes to crews, why not just get us more attached to this main crew they already started with Terminus? And I actually like the characters so far. I like Weaver, I like Maya, I like Gray. I'm not crazy about Carver so far though. I'm not like, I don't really care much about that character just yet, but most of them I am really getting interested in, and I do enjoy them as characters. And if they want to bring in other crews, cool, bring in some new crews, make some completely new characters, bring back the Chaos crew even. Those are characters that could definitely return. Again, they've already showed us that they're bringing back Chaos stuff. Go further with it, make that actually be a significant part of the Black Ops 6 story. Primis just feels like a weird crew to return, considering we already got their big return twice before. I mean, just think about this for a second. Origins was the return of those original characters for the first time. Obviously, they were different than Ultimus, but it was still like, oh my god, the original characters are returning, they're just a bit different this time. And then we saw that again with Blood of the Dead. And then we technically saw it another time, but just with Richtofen at the end of Black Ops Cold War, where they reveal that Richtofen is in fact within this Dark Ether storyline. So we got it basically like 3 different times, and I feel like another time where it's like, oh my god, the Primis characters are back, it starts to feel a bit too much. But beyond all this, I'm generally okay with it because I haven't really loved the Dark Ether storyline as is, so bringing in more multiverse elements does excite me a lot. I've been saying I want some sort of multiverse or time travel thing to return because that means we can get some crazier maps going forward. Maybe we can actually time travel in our maps instead of just staying in the same time period that the game is set in, like we did in Black Ops Cold War, where every map took place in the 80s. Opening back up the multiverse will give them a lot more freedom, and will also finally allow them to remove the zombie storyline away from the campaign stuff and completely separate it. So all of that really excites me, but I do think those things were possible without bringing back the Primis crew. You could have done stuff like that without bringing back those characters. You could have just made Chaos a more significant part of the story, and I do think this basically tells us that Chaos isn't probably going to be a significant part of the story, because if they're going to move into the Dark Ether Essence stuff, bringing back the multiverse so soon in COD 2025, then I'm assuming the Chaos stuff is probably going to be done with by the end of Black Ops 6. Now, I don't want to speak for the developers and the writers and such, but I do feel like it's possible that maybe Black Ops 4 Zombies' ending wasn't even the ending that they wanted. We all know about how the development cycle was going for Black Ops 4. It was kind of all over the place, tons of budget cuts, and they essentially weren't able to do some big grand scale ending for Togler and instead it was more of a simple ending, but it was a good ending. Most people did like the ending. I wouldn't say most people, but a lot of people liked the ending. A lot of people appreciated it writing wise. It actually made sense, and it was kind of actually beautifully done. But is that the ending that they wanted? We don't really know for sure. Is this stuff that they're making up on the spot, or maybe back then they said this is not going to be our ending, we're just going to kind of set it off for now and then we're going to come back to this later? That's entirely possible, but I really have no idea. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually do think there would be a way to bring them back without actually bringing them back to life. You could simply just do a map that takes place in the original Ether storyline. There are so many gaps in the Ether storyline where you can set a map. A great example is right before Blood of the Dead and after Revelations, there's that period of time where Pablo Marinus helps Richtofen get to Blood of the Dead, get to the ending of the Blood of the Dead cutscene, that whole premise with the robes and everything like that. They could have a Great War map that takes place before then. So it's not bringing the characters back to life, it's just simply giving us a map in a location and a specific point in the story that we never really had a map for previously. I think that would be okay. That wouldn't be undermining their ending whatsoever. All in all, I think I'm in agreement with most people where story story-wise, this doesn't really sound like a good idea whatsoever. But when it comes to just like map locations and settings and themes, it does excite me a lot more because the fact that the multiverse is going to be likely opening up. That means we're going to be getting some crazy stuff going forward, even crazier beyond what we're already getting. And that is exciting to me because I think Zombies is at its best, where it's as crazy, wacky, and goofy as it can possibly be. Now, do I still want there to be a decent semblance of a story there? Yes, which is why I'm overall kind of conflicted here. I definitely think doing all those things I just mentioned is possible without bringing back the Primis storyline. Basically, my overall point here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I will see you on my next one. Peace out.